Money management is critical and could be easier thanks to financial apps for your smartphone and mobile device. Local CPA Phil Umansky is back with us. Phil, it's great to see you this morning.
Good to see you, Jessica.
Always love having you and always love your advice. We're talking about putting financial apps into your wheelhouse and making money life a little easier.
Absolutely, yes. And you can do it so easily now with mobile devices, cell phones, I guess they call them smartphones now, and then pads.
There's a lot of folks right now watching going, I am not doing money on my phone. I'm not going to do this. Talk to that team, I'm not doing this, about why this is a good idea. What if you're nervous and you just don't know how to even approach it?
Well, you know, it's interesting because younger people are so much involved now with technology, you know, text messaging, email, looking at posts and things of that nature. But I would suggest that there's perhaps older people that are not used, did not grow up in the computer generation. So obviously, if you're not comfortable with something, I wouldn't advise that you use it. It is very secure in terms of strong passwords and all of that. One of the things that apps are really designed for, I think, are the younger people as well, because they're so hooked into the technology. And so they might be the most comfortable using it. And it also might be good actually for their lifestyle for them to begin monitoring the money, because they have a lot of financial hardships in many cases with college debt and maybe difficulty getting their first initial job. So the good thing about financial apps is it is mobile, you can take it anywhere, and it's a little bit like counting your calories. You don't be too obsessive about it, but you can in real time look and see whether your investments are going up in value or if your checking account is a little bit too low.
Are we talking about just using your banking app, or are we talking about more?
We're talking about really more with some of the financial apps that we're going to introduce today. Really what it does is it aggregates all the information from various accounts into one place. It doesn't matter where you have these accounts. Most of the large financial institutions will be able to interface with this if you give them the password and an ID number, and then it's all there in one place.
Too good to be true, or making it easy? The skeptic in me says, like, okay, all in one place. I'm getting a little nervous.
Absolutely. And it's not just the information, it's also the analysis. If you go back to your math class, you remember the pie charts, and maybe that slice, it looks like 25% or 1/4. Maybe that's how much you're spending on food, and your budget may only be 20%. So it does give you a lot of real-time analysis, and it can also compare, for example, month to month and year to year.
That's very interesting, because you've talked with us before about the benefits of actually doing a budget. So it's one thing to do it, and it's another thing to track it real time.
Absolutely, and you can make modifications. You know, budget is really planning, but it's also a control mechanism, because if you see, for example, at the end of the month that your food budget is a little bit up, then you might say, well, I need to cut back a little bit, maybe in movie going or entertainment or something of that nature.
You have a favorite one?
Well, I do have one. The one I say that we're going to go today is one of my favorites, but there are so many out there. And I got this really from PC Magazine, which does a rating of the financial apps, and they have different criteria that they use, and they rank them based on those criteria. And this was one of the higher ones. And it's also easy to download, and so I thought this would be a good as an example, just to illustrate.
All right, get us started for conversation's sake, so we can work into it.
Okay, all right. So I know that we've got a screen. I'm trying to look if we're going to get that screen up on the financial.
Your favorite one, by the way, is Mint, right? It's Mint. Okay.
Yeah. So hopefully the audience can see this. But if you look on the left-hand side of Mint, you actually have all your accounts in one place. You have your cash, your credit cards, your loans, your investments, and your property. And all of these interface with the financial institutions in which you may be keeping those particular accounts.
Okay, so if I put my Go-Go Gadget glasses on, I can see those happening there on that other side of the screen, because it is small, but essentially you would have your bank account, your house, if you had property or whatever it is, and you line all those up so it's feeding into one spot.
That's absolutely right. It feeds into one spot. And this is what's called the overview, and then you have transactions, bills, and budgets. So this is great. I mean, you could go on any time. Let's say that I went out and I've got what is called a check card. So I go to McDonald's, I buy a $1.04 drink, I give them the card, and it automatically comes out of my checking account. So about 10 seconds later, I can go into Mint, and if I had $1,200, now I got $1,200 minus $1.04.
So you're seeing it real time.
You're seeing it real time.
And that's great if you're already kind of aware of how is this a benefit to you.
And the benefit is just tracking. And the analogy that I always make is, let's say you wanted to go on a diet. Well, You can go on a diet. If you don't weigh yourself every day, you're not really knowing if you're going to be losing weight. It's not that you may weigh yourself every hour of the day, but you might want to weigh yourself every couple of days. So I'm not saying that you use this like you use text message. You check in every 10 minutes to see what your checking account is. But it's something that you can check on the road maybe every couple of days to see, well, how much money do I have left in my checking account? Do I need to transfer some money from the savings account to the checking account because I'm getting too low?
Gotcha. And maybe surpassing getting hit with fees if you hadn't moved it around, so you can keep track that
Yeah,
way.
absolutely. And of course, you don't have any overdraft.
Yeah.
And sometimes checks haven't cleared, and they may clear, and you have an overdraft. So it's great. It's a great way of monitoring your financial life.
If you're not weighing yourself every day, there's not like a point of reference that, and you, in that case, you may gain. But here it'd be great if we were gaining, we could see that building, right?
Yeah, and the other advantage of the financial apps is they can do graphs. And the great thing about graph is over time, particularly long periods of time, and maybe 3 or 4 months, you can really see how your finances are improving.
Thanks, Phil. Appreciate you being back with us.
No problem. I'm always glad to be here.
It's as though you know I'm a visual learner. The graphs and pie charts are great for me. For more information, we'll post a link on our show website by early this afternoon, WTVR.com/VTM.